Obama would come to our organization to speak, and he'd go to JB's organization to speak. Me and Obama be at both of these organizations. Both of us be on the same speaking platforms. You know, I like to think at times I spoke better than him.
Okay. Okay. That's a big one now.
But I'm not president of the United States.
I get it. I totally get it. OG, two letters that define respect. I created the original OGs to document the forgotten parts of American history. I want to recognize and give a voice to the men and women that have climbed to the top of their game. The men and women this marquee have been authenticated as original OGs. Welcome to my world, a world of the originals, the unique. Welcome to the original OGs. Welcome to the original OGs, and I'm your host, OG Mr. Rick. We're here in the City Hall. I'm telling you, today's guest, man, this is really, really mind-blowing. We're with Alderman Walter Burnett. This is going to be a very interesting journey with a very interesting person. That's just one of his hats. This brother wears so many hats it ain't even funny. But his journey is so interesting. I want young people to look at him and see yourself and see the possibility of yourself. He's a prime example of that. And I think it's something that you need to peer into because his journey can help you in this world. So, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. Rick?
I'm fantastic, brother. I am elated to be here, brother. I really am. You know, I've already told you about my personal experience through my family and your being here. 30 years ago, man, when you went door to door, did you ever believe that, or did you ever foresee that you would be the assistant mayor, or what is that title?
Vice mayor.
Vice mayor, dean of the city council, alderman, and we can go on and on and on. Had you foreseen any of that in its totality?
No. So, you know, Mr. Rick, first of all, thank you for having me on to the show.
It is my pleasure, sir.
I'm blessed that the mayor appointed me as the first African-American vice mayor.
Wow.
In Chicago's history.
Yes, sir.
Longest serving African-American elected official in City Hall, but also the longest serving person in City Hall, period.
Wow.
So 30 years is a blessing. Well, before that, 30 years ago was 1995.
Yes, sir.
11 years before that, Mr. Rick, I came home.
Wow.
So I came home from being incarcerated.
Yes, sir.
So my journey didn't start at the top.
Oh, yes, sir.
Here I am, you know, vice mayor, alderman, chairman of the zoning committee, one of the most powerful committees in the city of Chicago, but also have one of the most pivotal wards in the city of Chicago, in the 27th ward, which represents the United Center, Fulton Market, Goose Island, where the new casino is going to be built, the near north side, Cabrini-Green.
Rush Street?
Yeah, well, not Rush Street.
Okay.
Okay, but I represent all those areas, and you know, I've been blessed to be able to do it for 30 years and continue to get reelected. Wow. We run every 4 years, so I'm in my 8th term.
Hands down. Hands
down, and it's such a blessing. But when we started, you know, we grew up in Cabrini. And I was actually born in Rockwell. A lot of folks don't know that. Oh,
wow. I didn't know that.
No, yeah, I was born in Rockwell. My mom, family was the first ones to move to Rockwell. My dad was actually working in a hardware store.
Wow.
Over on Western, Western and Madison.
Yes, sir.
He was working there. He met my mom. They started dating.
Wow.
She got pregnant. You know, back in those days, in the 60s, you get somebody pregnant, you better go get married.
Hey.
Y'all got to go find your own crib.
You just tied the knot, buddy.
That's right.
My dad will be here in a minute.
That's right. So my mom and dad had to go find their own spot.
Wow.
We lived on Jackson for a minute, then we moved to Cabrini when I was about 4. And, you know, growing up in Cabrini, you know, back in the 60s, Cabrini wasn't bad.
No, it was not at all.
We had a bad reputation, but it was family, man.
Yes.
Everybody knew each other. Everything was natural. You know, I mean, the drugs changed the whole neighborhood,
the whole
especially
scenario.
when sisters started getting high.
Right.
You know, that kind of messed up our neighborhood, but it was still our hood. And you know, you grow up, everything is natural. You know, you grow up with people who have reputations like, you'd be like, man, that's dude.
Right. Man, I know dude, and proud to know dude.
That's right.
Stop playing, man. That's dude, man.
That's my man. I mean, we grew up together, you know.
And then walk up and talk to him. And then hey, man, hey, little Brian, man, your chest stick out this big,
right.
man.
And you know, growing up in public housing, every building was just about, every cluster of building was different. So, you know, you had different cliques here, different cliques there, different cliques here. I was blessed to go to Jenner School, but then go to Bird School. Bird School was over in another area closer to where another clique lived, and it was mixed.
Yes,
so
sir.
I got to know everybody.
I get it.
All sides,
Yes, sir.
and which gave me a passport to go anywhere in the neighborhood.
That was a plus.
And I tell you, you know, growing up, and you know, my dad was a precinct captain. He was trying to get me involved in politics, and I was like, Dad, I help you, because he'll give me a couple of dollars. He'll give me a couple of dollars to help him. But I said, I ain't gonna go. I don't want to have to work for those people like you
Right.
do. Right? Yeah,
Hey, I get it.
I said, I got my own gig. You know, I'm working at Burger King. I'm doing my hustling.
My thing.
You know, doing my own thing. I'm an independent man, right? You know, lo and behold, man, you know, make a mistake, get caught up with guys, trying to be grown, you know, hanging out.
Trying to be in.
That's right. I'm hanging out with, you know, back then we would call them players. Today they call them ballers or whatever else.
Yeah.
You know, back then we were players, right?
Right. Real simple.
That's right. So I hang out with all the players, you know, dress nice as a teenager. You know, back then we had our hair done and
The whole nine.
all that stuff. And I wanted to be around the old guys, you know, and found myself getting caught up, man.
I get it.
You know, and almost losing my life, you know, and it was challenging for me because, you know, I get caught up, you know, I pray to God, I made a mistake. I had a gig, had a crib, had a car.
Wow.
Had it going on, had my own place at 17, moved out.
Wow.
You know, lost everything in one day, right?
Just like that.
Yeah, trying to hang out with some cats, impress them, drinking with them, getting buzzed, you know, found myself running from the man. But, you know, God is very interesting, man. You know,
I agree.
God is interesting, man. I don't know where I would be if I hadn't got caught up.
Exactly.
Graduated from high school, you know, and wasn't thinking about going to school.
Okay.
Just thinking about hustling, right? Just thinking about working, saving money, doing my thing.
What changed your mind about education?
So I'm gonna tell you, you know, it was amazing because, you know, I used to be one of those young cats. I went to Wells High School, and I used to be one of those guys, you go out for lunch, you kick it, and you come back in, right?
Right.
So I come back in, didn't study or nothing. I asked somebody, let me see your notes. We're getting ready to take a test. Let me see your notes. I look at their notes real quick, pass the test.
That's
you
all
know what
it
I'm saying? Right. So I was one of those guys who didn't really put emphasis on it, didn't study, didn't do anything. Show me what we doing, bam, I do it. I pass the test. So I passed. But didn't really get into anything. Didn't get into chemistry, didn't get into, you know, I took algebra, you know, all geometry, all that stuff. Passed it, but wasn't concentrating on it. Get popped, man, and, you know, get on my knees and pray to God and say, Lord, you know, I messed up.
Right.
You know, let my parents down for one. Because, you know, when you're young, you live for your parents.
Right.
Right? And you know, you had these two lives, right? You had a one that you impress your parents with.
Right.
You had a one when you out
Slipping
there kicking
into
it.
darkness.
You
You know the story.
yeah. So I, you know, I got on my knees and I prayed. And I'm like, look, God, thank you for not allowing me to get killed.
Wow.
You know, thank you for giving me another opportunity. I said, I prayed and asked him to allow me to go to school, get education. I was starting to box a little bit before I got popped. And, let me box, and let me leave any of these cats alone who ain't talking about nothing.
Exactly.
Right? So that was my goal. Go to school, box, take care of my business, don't try to impress no one,
Yes.
Because impressing people get you popped. And then, the crazy thing is, once you get in there, only thing...
Where they at?
That's right, where they at? They probably talking about you one day. They probably one day talking about you pouring a drink on the ground for you, and then that's over with.
Oh, that's stupid.
Your girls break bad on you, the whole 9 yards.
Brother, reality comes.
It comes. So like me, I was 2.5 years, man, I didn't have one visit.
Wow.
Not one visit.
Sound like me.
But I went there, but I ran track. I was on the boxing team.
In prison.
In prison.
I get it.
Yeah, I ran track on the boxing team in prison, and I went to school day and night. Cats used to talk about me like, man.
Now you're a nerd.
Yeah, and like, man, why you ain't gonna pass going to school day and night, man. I made the honor roll, right? All of the stuff that I ignored while I was out and just going to school taking those tests. Now I had to learn.
Okay.
Right, everything that I didn't pay attention to, I had to learn all over in college. The same classes.
Exactly.
If I would have paid attention in high school, I would have been on top of it. But I studied hard, and it helped me to make my time pass away quick. And we studied hard. We got A's and B's, got an associate's degree, mechanical drafting certificate, tool and die design, and also even emergency medical technician.
Wow.
I was like, man, I got to take everything I can.
Whatever you
now
got.
I got to come back out here. I come from Cabrini. I'm African American. I'm young, and I got a record.
No tools.
That's right. What am I going to do? So I had to learn and get as much paper behind me as I can so that I can compete, and so at the same time, I brainwashed myself.
There it is.
With positive mental books. I talked to only guys in there who's talking about something. I didn't want to hear your jailhouse lies. I didn't want to hear about you being a baller, being a player, how many women you had, how many cars you had, how much money you had. I don't want to hear about that.
No, you're lying anyway.
That's right. I want to hear about if you had a company. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I want to hear about, did you have real property?
Progress.
That's right. Man, so I started hanging out with guys, talking to guys. It was guys in there who had life who was trading stock. It was a guy named Dewey and Jose. Both of them had their girls trading stock from them while they were in there. That's who I was kicking it with.
Exactly.
I had another guy from Aurora, Latino guy. I guess he was some kind of whatever he was out there, but he owned a whole bunch of real estate.
Wow.
Told me the real estate game, told me about how to buy property, how to have a good lawyer, how to have a good real estate agent, how to have a bank that work with you, the whole nine. So I'm talking to him, talked to another little guy, who owned a lot of property and everything. Yeah, he was a jury thief, but he had legitimate businesses too.
Oh, I get it.
I was sucking up game about all the legitimate stuff that they were doing. And so I come home, and I'm motivated, got a mechanical drafting degree, couldn't find a gig.
Here we go.
My old man, who tried to get me to go to the politicians like years ago, he said, well, let me take you to these guys again. I'm like, okay, he took me. I went to see George Dunn on a Monday. On a Tuesday, I was working.
Wow.
He said, I can't promise you nothing, we'll see. But if you go in there, put an application, you tell them the truth. You been to jail? I say, yes. He say, tell them the truth.
Right.
Show them your credentials. So I tell you how God works, man. So, and this is what I always tell kids, you got to be careful how you deal with people because you never know when you're going to meet them again.
Hello.
So in 6th grade, I'm at Bird School. There's a teacher there named Mr. Bocan. So back then, when we were in school, kids would literally fight with the teachers.
Right.
So Mr. Bocan would be handling guys because they'd be trying to box them, right?
Like Mr. Moore to me.
But I couldn't do that because if I did that, not only will I probably get whooped by the teacher, I probably get a whooping when I got home too.
Without a doubt.
So,
Without a doubt.
so I was like this cool kid. Didn't make no drama in school. Just went straight through school. So I go to human resources, man. I go take a drafting test. They send me down to human resources. They recommend that I get a draftman 1 job.
Okay.
So I go downstairs to human resource. So to fill out my paperwork, who's in charge of human resource? Mr. Bocan.
Oh, wow.
Said,
Ain't God good?
He said, God got your steps, man.
Wow.
So I go see Mr. Bocan, and he's like, Walter, how you doing? He hugged me. Oh, man, I'm so proud of you. He looked at my degrees and stuff. He said, I'm so proud of you. He said, He said, what did they recommend that you get? I said, a draftsman 1. He said, those prejudice cards, da-da-da. He scratched out a draftsman 1. Gave me a $4,000 increase right there on the spot.
Wow.
I became a draftsman too, just like that.
Wow.
So I say to kids, what if I was one of the kids who was boxing Mr. Bocan?
Hello? He'd have throwed you out of there.
You feel me? He would have said, what are you doing here? Who sent you down here?
We don't need you here.
That's right.
And don't want you here.
You feel me? So I would have still had a draftsman 1.
Now, when you were in that phase of life, what was going on in the city and the crime environment around you?
So outside?
Yeah.
In the city. Oh, so gangbanging was still going on.
What?
It was alive.
At its height.
Yeah, it was alive and kicking, man. People were still holding down, especially in all the projects.
Man, please.
And on the west side, south side, people were holding down spots, fighting over spots, drug game.
Multi-million-dollar building.
That's right. Drug game was on, so it was on. It was on back then.
Real.
And when I came home, man, my homies tried to get with me and be like, look, man, they told me, they said, you ain't gonna make no money work for the white man, Walt. Come on, let us give you a pack, man, and
please don't
and
listen
put you
to
out
that.
there. I'm like, no, man. I'm not going back there. That's the loneliest place in the world for me, is being incarcerated, right? It's sweet out here. So first thing I did when I came home, I went back to school.
Okay.
I jumped right back into college.
Wow.
I went to Loop College, started working on other degrees, trying to get me an engineering degree. Then I went to UIC.
Wow.
Because I wanted to put myself around positive people again.
I get it.
Just like I was kicking it with the positive guys in there.
I need that environment.
I was kicking it with the guys I was going to school with. All they talked about was what they was going to do in the future. They wasn't talking about what they did in the past.
Yes, sir.
Right? So I stayed around positive people. So I ended up meeting people and networking with people at school, right? Then I started going to church at church, right? And started getting a network. So I ended up joining fraternities, got into Phi Beta Sigma.
Wow.
Guy recruited me to be a Mason.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I always tell young people, you can either be in a clique in the street or you can be in a professional clique.
One or the other.
You in a clique in the street, yeah, maybe somebody get you some hot stuff or get you a deal on something, right? Or get you in some trouble. Or you can be in a professional clique where you got a boy who is a manager at a restaurant.
Hello?
You feel me? Or a boy who work at a bank. You want to get a loan to buy a building? Your boy work at a bank.
Real connections.
Real connections. Real networks.
Hello.
Right? And you don't get that in the hood. You don't get that in the street.
That's what we're starving for.
That's right. You had to go and cross that line to get hooked up. Once you get hooked up in those circles, all kind of doors open for you.
So you made the choice of transitioning your immediate circle and stepping out and connecting with all of these other opportunities and organizations, fraternities. And how did that help you pursue your career as a employed person?
Because one, I got to know a lot of people, was connected to a lot of folks, and I had a lot of help. Everybody was rooting for me.
All right.
You understand what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying? Because once I step over into those arenas, it let everybody know that I'm okay. Now, granted, at that time, nobody knew that I had a pass, right? They just saw me as a good guy.
Doing your thing.
They brother at church, or they brother in a fraternity, or they brother at school. You understand what I'm saying? They just accepted me. Well, I ended up getting in the Young Democrats, started volunteering with the Democratic Party, started being very humble and doing meaningful stuff. Like I became a precinct captain, started working harder than everybody else, to the point where they were like talking about me and telling me that I'm doing too much, right? And got recognized by George Dunn and them. They started sending me to do other things in the community, registering people to vote on the Gold Coast, helping big restaurant folks who got challenges with their building challenges. Wow. They started sending me on missions to help with that. Here I am volunteering.
Right.
All of this is extra.
But see how that works.
Yeah. So one day, they knew I'm a draftsman. They knew I was a draftsman. So they called me down. They like, Mr. Dunn got Harold Washington coming to the office.
Wow.
He coming to the headquarters, and we're gonna have a meeting, and he's gonna endorse him there. He wants signs up, and we know you're a draftsman. So we want you to draw some signs.
Wow.
Vote for Harold and whatever the punch number was. I think it was punch 8 then.
Okay.
So I had to stencil up signs, vote for Harold, punch 8. I'm up all night making these signs. I draw the signs. Harold come, they endorse him. Jesse White, George Dunn, Burton and Terrence all stand up, take a picture with Harold. We all rah-rah and everything. My signs all up. They say,
wow.
Thank you, kid. Good job.
Wow.
So I was like, this is great, and
Okay.
that's when the bug hit me. Because at first, I was like, this is a trip. They want me to do these signs. Why I got to do these signs? Why they asking me to do all this extra
Right.
stuff? So then they start calling me all the time to do stuff.
Right.
Right? Can you go deliver this? Can you take this guy to the building department? Can you do this? I mean, this is outside my regular job.
Exactly. But you're in now.
I'm in. So I'm like, I can't tell them no. These guys keep asking me to do stuff. I got to flip the script on them.
Exactly.
So I say, how I'm going to flip the script? This is how I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to go down there every day. And I'm asking them, is there something you need? I'm going to sweat them so much that they're going to get tired of me and leave me alone, right?
So you thought.
So I thought. I went down every day, asked them, is there something you need? If it's something, man, they gave me something to do every day.
Oh, you
right?
want something? Well, we got something for you.
That's right.
Plenty around here.
So I go down there, so I say, this ain't working. I say, this ain't working. I'm not going down there anymore. Man, they call me up. They like, where the hell are you?
What are you doing? You
Where
work
you
here.
Been?
You work here.
What are you doing? So I ended up going down there every day, man, and being part of the fabric of the whole Democratic Party.
Wow.
So I started volunteering at the Democratic Party. Harold Washington helped George Dunn to become the chairman of the party again.
Wow.
And he became chairman of the party. So I would go help them move the chairs, pass out stuff, call up committeemen. I got to know every politician in Cook County. Every politician in Cook County. Just by volunteering, moving tables,
and they
getting
know
water.
You.
They all knew me. Wow. It had got to the point where if people were getting ready to run for office, they'd come and pull me to the side.
Walter.
Yep, they'd pull me to the side and they'd be like, hey, so I'm getting ready to go before the committeeman. Hey, the committeeman, how should I talk? What should I say?
Wow.
Who should I talk to? Politicians started coming to me asking me.
And you're how old at this time?
I'm in my 20s. I think I'm about 24.
Wow.
I'm 24 years old. I came home when I was 20.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm 24 years old. So I'm like, guys looking at me like I'm part of George Dunn, right? So then I got involved with the Young Democrats.
Oh,
one of the secretaries there is like, man, you're a good kid. Everybody love you. You need to meet this kid, Ray Muldoon. He's Tom Hines' nephew, and he's the chairman of the Young Democrats. And kiddo, you should be involved.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. I call Ray up. He invite me to the Young Democrats. I go to the Young Democrats of Cook County. Stroger kids there.
Wow.
Bobby Rush kids there. Sawyer's kids there. You know,
Wow.
everybody who worked for politicians are there in the organization.
All of their children.
So I'm in this clique. I'm like, here I am, a guy who been to the joint, a guy from Cabrini-Green,
Wow.
and I'm kicking it with all these big politicians' kids and stuff, right?
As well as they.
That's right. So I'm there with them, and I'm looking at how they operate, and I've been helping to organize the regular party. So I'm looking at how the young kids operate, and I'm like, man, y'all not doing it right.
Exactly.
But I'm okay.
I follow your lead.
I became the special events chair, so I helped do a lot of parties. So all the people I would help get their building challenges fixed at restaurants and so on and so forth was let us come in and drink beer.
Wow.
Right? So everybody loved me because I was like the best special events chair
Right.
that they ever had, because I had the hookups with all the restaurants, everything, right? And so we do the parties and stuff. And then I became the city vice chair. Then there was an opportunity to run for chairman. So I run for chairman. I meet my wife. She's in the Young Democrats too, working for Bobby Steele. That's how I met Gator. Gator was working for Bobby Rush.
Wow.
And so I meet my wife. She's in the Young Democrats. She's the president of 37 Ward. Her and I start kicking it. And so I'm running for chairman of the Young Democrats. So there's a cat that I used to hang with down in the commissioner's office. I'm not even going to mention his name. Want to run my campaign.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I got it, right? Because he was shady with a lot of people. So I'm like, no, I'm cool. I'm cool with everyone.
Right.
I know the committeemen. I know everyone. You have to get a charter for the committeemen. I said, I know all the committeemen.
Right.
Right? I pass out stuff. They all know me by name, right? So I was like, I got it. So I got a cat running against me, Alice Palmer's nephew.
Wow.
He's Alice Palmer was a senator. He's running against me named Eric Hudson. Nice brother. He's running against me. He come and he tells me, he's like, man, I respect you. He said, everybody love you around here.
Mm.
He said, but I even respect you more now.
Wow.
He said, that cat who's trying to get you to run his campaign got upset and came to me and bought me your rap sheet.
Wow.
To use against you.
Wow.
To run for chairman of the Young Democrats of Cook County.
Insane.
I was crushed. Because here I am for 4 years, shining star. Nobody know my past.
None of that.
Nobody know my past. Here I am, bam, it's out there. I had to go tell my whole campaign crew, man, and everybody, and I had a crew of Jewish, Italian, Latino. I didn't want everybody over.
Right.
Everybody in the organization is on my team. I go tell them, man, they start crying. They want to go jack the dude. They want to go jack the guy up. They like, he gave me this. He said, I respect you so much. I'm not gonna use it. He tore it up. He threw it in the garbage can. I run against him. I beat him 64-4.
Wow.
Become the chairman of the Young Democrats of Cook County.
He pretty much knew that was gonna happen.
Run again for the second time, become the first African American to ever be elected twice.
Wow.
The last one I think was Alderman Dick Mail years ago. That's
wow,
how
that was
part of
years
your
ago.
organization goes.
Right.
Right. So I win. So then, some of the Young Democrats, I got these guys working. I'm running it like the regular Democratic Party. We started going on missions. When Clinton ran, Clinton folks came and asked me, can I get folks to go help other congressmen win around the country? We were going on missions all over the country doing Chicago-style politics, knocking on doors and like turning it out.
Wow.
Right? They was like, get the Cook County Young Democrats to come out to help. So we helped a couple of congressmen win. All my guys was excited about it. It was like I had soldiers, you know what I'm saying?
You got a team.
Man, we were doing it, Jack. Going all over the country, doing it. Had a reputation. Matter of fact, still some of those folks who worked on Clinton's campaign still call me for stuff today.
Wow, I get it. I totally get it.
And have worked on my campaigns, right?
Wow.
There's a guy named Pete Giangreco who does all of the media stuff. He works on my campaigns too now. But we go all
News
the
guy?
No, his brother is a news guy.
Yeah.
Was a sports guy. It's his brother.
Right, I know that name.
The other brother is a
politician.
He's a political operative, right? He does literature and media and all that stuff. And we became good friends because they used to always call me to come. And so then they do a remap. they take Cabrini-Green out of the 42nd Ward with George Dunn's organization and put it with the 27th Ward on the west side. So I was the one who helping Mr. Dunn look at the numbers, collecting all the precinct captains' information, totals when they bring it in. So I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm like, Mr. Dunn, I looked at how many votes we get in the 27th Ward in our little area of Cabrini-Green.
Right.
And I looked at how many votes they get in the rest of the 27th Ward. So when they broke it down, they took pieces of other wards and put it with the 27th Ward. So it was a piece of the 1st Ward, a piece of the 32nd Ward, a piece of the 26th Ward, a piece of the 27th Ward, piece of the 28th Ward. Piece of the 37th Ward, which my wife was the president of, and a piece of the 28th Ward.
Wow.
So I talked to all my young Democrat friends about that, and I look at the numbers. The Cabrini-Green area got more votes than all of them put together in that ward.
Right.
I said, Mr. Dunn, he was upset because they took all the black folks from the 42nd Ward and put them on the west side. He was like, this is like apartheid. This is wrong. I said, Mr. Dunn, it looked like they did us a favor.
You just won.
I said, they gave us 2 wards, right? And he's like, well, I don't know. So after that map change, it made Jesse White I became the sergeant at arms of the organization. Jesse White was a state rep. After that, it made Jesse White's state rep district change also, which means that they took Cabrini-Green away from Jesse White.
Wow.
So his ward became 99% white.
Wow.
So he had to run for something else. Carol Mosley Brougham had just won for U.S. Senator.
Oh, wow.
Became the first U.S. Senator. Her seat came open. Jesse White ran for her seat. I asked Mr. Dunn, can I work with Mr. White on his election? Mr. Dunn said yes. I know all the committeemen around Cook County. So everywhere we went, if they didn't know Jesse White, I would introduce them to him. I would do advance for them. I would drive them. I would pass out literature. I would tell them, when you do advance, you find out what's the script.
Wow.
Why we here, what they concerned about, what should we say, who they don't like, what you shouldn't say.
Right. Definitely.
Right. So I would tell him all that stuff, give him a layup. So he gets up there and he's speaking, he know everything about the organization because I done gave him a layup. But at the same time, when we walk in the door, if there's a committeeman that he don't know from the suburbs, they be like, oh, here go George Dunn's kid. Hey, how you doing? Right?
What about him?
How you doing? I'm like, hey, man. Hey, this is our state rep, Jesse White. He's running for this. Oh, you George's guy. Like, cool, come on in. So we were like a great team, man. I was the assistant campaign manager. I help him win. He wins. He appoint me as his administrative assistant.
Stop right there for a minute. I'm going to interject something. You're saying that you began to work for Jesse and introduce him to these other different parts of the party.
So, yeah, Mr. White was our state rep.
Right.
He was renowned in his state rep district.
Right.
He's renowned in Springfield.
Right.
Everybody loved him in Springfield.
I get it.
Some of the committeemen wasn't in Springfield, right? Some of the committeemen was just in their townships or wards and with the party.
Right.
So some of them didn't know him, right? And some of them didn't, and this was the challenge. This is the biggest challenge. Mm-hmm. A lot of them didn't put 2 and 2 together. So a lot of people didn't put the Jesse White tumbling team with the Jesse White, the politician.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I got the introduction to him and told him who he was, and then he talked about the tumbling team, then they like, oh yeah, I know you.
Exactly.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Here's my point. The average person would think that those roles were in reversal. They would think that Mr. White came, got you, and built you.
We built each other.
I'm hearing it.
He had all his reputation preceded him.
I get it. He was already heavy.
but nobody knew. A lot of folks didn't know him personally.
Right.
Right. So I had to break that glass ceiling or break that whatever to get them to recognize. And and one of the things that we had to do even during this campaign, because we recognized that Mr. White, they all know who Jesse White is over the Jesse White tumblers, but they don't know the Jesse White, the politician.
Right.
A lot of folks didn't put that together. So we had to come up with a thing where he couldn't campaign, he couldn't use the tumbling team for political reasons.
Oh, okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a non-for-profit. And he would lose his non-for-profit status.
No conversation there.
So we had to figure out a way. I was like, we gotta figure out a way to let people know who you are, right? Because they're not connecting the dots.
Right.
So we couldn't use none of the kids. We couldn't use none of the Jesse White literature, none of the emblems, anything. So we came up with a cartoon. So we came up with a cartoon, bubblehead guy, like a ghost, flying in a red suit, flying over other guys. Right? And we used that on his literature, without saying nothing about the Jesse White tumblers, not having any of the kids in the picture. And when people saw that, they was like, oh, that's Jesse White. That's the guy. That's the guy with the kids. That's that good guy.
And now he look like he done built a Superman on here.
That's right.
Who was the first mayor that you worked? This twofold question. Who was the first mayor that you worked for?
First mayor I worked for was Harold Washington.
Oh, wow, really?
Because I came home in '84. Right, so I didn't work on his first campaign.
Right.
I wasn't able to vote for him because I was locked up.
Right.
But I was able to vote for him in the second campaign and work on the election.
But you juiced up now.
Yeah, we blessed now. Now, since that time, I done worked for, 4 mayors. And, so the first mayor that I actually worked for was Daley as an alderman, right? Or I shouldn't even say work for, work with, right? Because we don't work for a mayor, we work with the mayor. We all get elected individually. So, when Jesse was recorded deeds, opportunity came to run for office because the maps changed. Mr. Dunn allowed me to go meet people and see if I can set it up. Then I ended up running, using my young Democrat friends, I ended up winning, right? So I ended up winning in a runoff. The alderman who was appointed didn't even get in the runoff. So it was me and Wallace Davis III, who's a good friend of mine now. We ran against each other. The streets was the streets, right? And it was on back in those days.
Right.
It wasn't just an easy run. It was like, guys had to be down with you to be down. They had to be down with you to be down with you, right?
Same old politics.
Same old politics.
Right, I get it.
So I was blessed to have guys down with me. We ended up running. We ended up winning. And I became alderman. Been alderman for 30 years now.
Wow.
Been cool with every mayor. Funny thing is, of course, we work with Daley. I didn't support Rahm Emanuel when he first ran. Coincidentally, I was the chairman of the City Council Black Caucus. At that time, when Daley retired, we was looking for a black mayor. And I would have all these sessions to let people interview in front of everybody. We had the meetings and we couldn't find a black mayor, right? So Carol Mosley Braun decided to run on her own and said that we endorse her, but we didn't. So Mr. White wanted to support Rahm. I asked Mr. White, I said, Mr. White, me being the chairman of the Black Caucus, it would be disingenuous of me to just support him after going through that procedure of looking for a black mayor, right? So I said, let me stay out of it.
Right.
I stayed out of Rahm's first race.
Wow.
Right? He gets elected, he calls me in. And he calls me in, and, and I was like a fighter for affordable housing.
Right.
Right? Me and Daley had some words about affordable housing. I finally got it. Rahm knew I was fighting for affordable housing. I go see him. First thing I say to him when I go to see him, I said 2 things to him. I said, hey man, I know everybody's scared to ask you for Ed Burke's spot, the finance committee chair, right? But I'm not scared. If you looking for somebody to take it, I take it.
Let me get that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't no punk.
Okay.
Right? You gonna give it away, I take it. And he looked at me like I was crazy. I said, also, I want you to know, I don't want to have to fight with you about affordable housing.
Right.
He said, I don't want to have to fight with you about affordable housing either. Right?
Okay. Well, let's get it on.
He said, but I got other ways of dealing with it, you know?
Wow.
And we can work on it. I'm like, okay, cool. He said, and I got a committee. He said, and I wanted to know if you want to be the committee chair.
Wow.
I'm like, sure. So he made me the chair. And me and him been like locked.
Wow.
He been my boy ever since. And we always had these, we had these competitive, his whole term, it always been like, he remind me of a sparring partner.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got a sparring partner and y'all hit each other.
Exactly.
Right. And like he'd come to me like, look, man, I need you to, I want to know if we can do this and get some money from your tip and use it over here and so on and so forth. But he said, but you don't have to ask me for nothing because I asked you. I'm like, no, man, you know I'm asking.
Don't work like that, player.
I say, you know how it goes. I say, I'm always happy when you ask me for help.
Hey, now I can get me some too.
That's right. So you can give me something for my award. Because he knew every time he asked me for something, that I would ask for something for my award.
That's a beautiful thing.
And we had a mutual respect like that, and we had a thing going on like that.
What was it like working with, did you work with the old man daily?
No.
Oh, you work with
young man.
Young man daily.
No, I didn't have that.
What was that like? What type of a person was he?
Daily was interesting. I've been blessed, man, because, we come from, there's no fear.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel no man, right? So I'm the type of cat, I go to Daily, I start talking to him, kick it with him, we laugh, and, when the other guys standing around scared to say something.
Exactly. They don't work like that.
Where we come from,
Hey, man, get your shot in.
Hey, I just come from hanging out with killers. You feel me?
Why am I afraid of you?
I just was living with killers. I ain't scared of no man, right? So I just go kick it with Daly and talk to him like he's a regular dude, and come to find out, man, people want to be regular dudes.
Hello?
A lot of folks don't know that.
I get it.
People want to be regular dudes. So guess what? When he come in the room, guess who he come and talk to?
You.
He come and talk to the dude who treat him like a regular dude. Right?
I need a break.
Right?
I get it.
Yeah, I ain't working you. Right?
I totally
we just kicking it. So he was good. Daly was good. He didn't want to. He always was cautious. So being a former state's attorney, he always think that
just the way his brain
he
works.
Just always thinks something up.
Yeah, where is it at?
I tell you this: if your phone ring around him, if you got a phone around him, he like tripping. He like, oh, I don't talk around phones.
No, man.
He's like, I guess he knew.
I know what's happening.
He knew what they was doing.
That's my trick.
That's right. He was very cautious, somewhat paranoid. Didn't talk a whole lot, but just talking about regular stuff. He loved doing that.
Oh, I get it.
We're not talking about business, so he was cool. And one of the things with him, just like with Ron, they come from Daily come from a rewarding era. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Old school politics is a rewarding era.
Yes.
It's like if you do something, you don't even have to ask for anything. You're going to get something.
I got you.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So they come from that era, so you just had it coming. You just knew you had it coming. All you had to do is be down.
Exactly.
If you down with them, they down with you.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So Daly was always cool like that, especially he loved when you try to help people in your community.
Wow.
They respect when you help in your neighborhood. Respect when you're trying to help your people. You feel me? And so, so I come from that era. I come from, being around Mr. Dunn, and when he was president, county board, and chairman of the Democratic Party, I knew the game.
Exactly.
I knew if you put something in, you get something out.
Exactly.
Right? And so I we spoke and felt the same way.
I totally get it.
Me, Rom, and Daly was like that. Now, then Lori Lightfoot runs, don't support her. Mr. White and I, we supporting Tony Prantwinkle, right? Tony loses. You know, Mr. White wanted to support Tony. I support whoever he tells me to support.
I get it.
That's my man.
That's your man.
That's my man, right?
I get it.
So if he says we support Mickey Mouse, I'm down with Mickey Mouse.
Did y'all hear it? Hey, but you got to know how to play the game.
That's loyalty, though.
Right, that's your man.
That's loyalty. And you know what? Mr. White was like that with George Dunn.
I get it.
And so was I. You know, so that's where we come from, right? So he said we supporting Tony Prantwinkle, we supporting Tony Prantwinkle. We all in. Whoever we support, we all in.
Right.
So Lori calls me in. Mayor Lightfoot calls me in after the election. And she like, look. I say, look. She like, look, I don't like the fact that you was in that press conference with Ron Emanuel against me, da-da-da, so on and so forth. I say, look.
Ain't personal.
He was the mayor. If you ask me to be at a press conference, I'm gonna be there. I said I'm loyal to the mayor. Whoever got that seat, I'm down with them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how I was taught.
Right.
Right? Mr. White go to Springfield, George Dunn say, be down with the speaker, be down with the governor if he's Democrat, right? So you go to City Hall, be down with the mayor.
Hello?
You go to the county, be down with the president. That's just how it is, right? So that's how I learned. Right, so I was like, hey, look, you become the mayor, I'm gonna be down with you.
Real simple.
You know, that's just how it is. You know, and my man told me to do that, that's what I did. I said, but look, let me tell you this. I got the hottest water in the city. Most of the groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings happen in my ward. You know what I'm saying? I got my own organization. You know, I got Mr. White. I can help you if you want my help. If you don't want my help, and I understand, I'm okay. But you know, I can't take back nothing I did, right? Because
you know how this game is played.
It is what it is. She said, well, I expected more of you because you's my friend. I said, I understand that, but this business.
Exactly.
Right? She took me, she gave me a committee just like that.
Wow.
And guess what? I was right there with her. Y'all saw me on TV with her. I supported all her stuff. I helped her out, you know. So God has blessed me to even when I go against folks. Like this mayor. I went against this mayor.
I get it.
He made me vice mayor.
Yeah, but let's be honest. You got the power. No. We just went through the history of how this thing works. And if you're playing this game, then you're looking for the best people to put around you that can get it done, that have relationships with all these people. You were here way before they got here.
We blessed. Look, I'm very humbled. I give it all to God.
My man.
So, you know, God has blessed me. One of the things that I, didn't mention that I do, I work with Lori to get the first returning residence office in. Got a girl, so I do a ministry with my church. I go to the prisons and the jails. Matter of fact, a sister who I used to minister to in the prison, he ended up being in charge of it, Willette Burford. She had a life in prison for murder, came home, got a pardon, and she was running the office. Then with this mayor, the former mayor put in some temporary money, opera money. This mayor, I got him to put permanent money in the pot.
Wow.
For returning residents. We have an office. Coincidentally, the brother named JoJo that he put over it, coincidentally, I went down there when he was in prison and talked to the brothers,
Wow.
and all this stuff come full circle. One of the things that I would say to young people, for me in this game, is that is a thing in 1 Peter, I think, chapter 8. It says, be fervent with charity, for charity covers the magnitude of all sin. I always say the more you give, in some books it say, be plentiful with love. Love covers the magnitude of all sin, right?
Yeah.
I always say, when you do things for folks, when you give stuff to people, you put them in a position where they can't deny you.
Hello.
We can't just take stuff.
Exactly.
We gotta give.
It don't work like that.
So the more you give, the more you do, the harder it is for people to deny you.
Exactly.
The more people you help, the more help comes to you, even when you least expect that you need it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm constantly, my whole thing in my whole life has constantly been give, give, give. Help, help, help. Put that energy out there so it can come back to you.
Hey, it's real simple. Yeah. How was your relationship with Obama?
You know, of course, when he become president, it's a different story.
Yeah, that's where I was.
Yeah, but so I was the chairman of the Young Democrats of Cook County, right? There was a competing organization with us that attracted other kids called DO21C, which the governor created. J.B. Prisker created. At that time, he was just J.B. So we had two organizations. We had a groundwork guys, he had office guys to help the Democratic Party. Both of us was helping Clinton at the time. Obama would come to our organization and speak, and he'd go to JB's organization and speak. Me and Obama be at both of these organizations. Both of us be on the same speaking platforms. You know, I like to think at times I spoke better than him.
Okay. Okay. That's a big one now.
But I'm not president of the United States.
I get it. I totally get it.
But, you know, the funny thing, he became a senator.
Right.
A state senator, because he beat Alice Palmer, who nephew is the guy who ran against me for the Young Democrats chairman thing. But me and Obama, you know, he's smooth, man. That brother has always been smooth, good guy. Matter of fact, he used to be on the board of a clinic in Cabrini-Green. Called Near North Clinic. He used to be involved in the clinic, help. He was the lawyer over there. He used to help. You know, Obama, you know, he know the neighborhood. He come from around the neighborhood. You know? He's an organizer, so he's not scared of people. But now he's president. It's hard to get next to him or close to him, and you know, and that's fine. We let him do his thing. But when he see you, you know, he show his love. He come up and he give you that shake, you know, give you that hug, you know. Good brother. So is Michelle. Michelle used to work here. Michelle Obama. So we all know a lot of people in common. We cool and we bump heads periodically.
I get it.
Yeah.
Now, present day situation, you being formerly incarcerated, how do you see it with Trump commuting Mr. Hoover?
So, you know, I got locked up when I was 17.
Right.
I grew up when I was 20, right? I grew up fast.
Right.
Right, matured fast.
Hey, the environment.
Position myself to, you know, be successful. His brother been locked up for how long? You know what I'm saying? He was young.
He was a kid.
He made some mistakes. He's an old man now, 74.
And a brilliant one.
You feel me? But I think it gives a lot of folks hope. Right? Because there's so many that have made those mistakes before.
Hello.
And, you know, one of the things that people don't recognize about brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated, that what affects them affects a lot of people. Mothers, daughters, sons, nephews, grandkids, so on and so forth. Communities.
Yes.
So what affects this brother, giving him hope, giving him an opportunity to get it right, and lead guys in the right direction.
Oh, wow.
Is a big deal.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? This brother can literally come out here, either be to himself or come out here and help guys.
I think
move in the right direction.
I think if he came out here, he would be most powerful and most influential in guiding young people toward a better life. It's impossible for him to come out here and try to live in the past. That's impossible.
Because there's so much light on him, you know? And you know, it's a lot of these brothers that done came home and doing good. I mean, look at T-Fly. That's my boy. And he's out here, man, and he's feeding people, feeding seniors. He's helping other guys do positive things.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it's good to see these guys come out and give back to the community.
Exactly.
You know, after taking a lot of stuff from the community.
Right. Hello?
And he's helping guys, you know, the guys getting off of drugs, guys getting out of the game, guys looking for jobs. He done started a security company, you know, guys starting businesses. He actually bringing people to me to help, right? Wow. Guys trying to, you know, they removing lead pipes in the city now, you know. So it's a lot of great things happening with a lot of these brothers. A lot of those guys, even Span came home, right? Span doing the same thing. They trying to be positive, man. All these guys are trying to be positive. They ain't on that dumb stuff. They older men now.
Hello.
They concerned about their kids and their grandkids.
Hello.
Right.
You know, you got people like Minister Rico. You know, they're out here trying to help do things that's going to benefit younger people.
Without a doubt.
You know, we know the mistakes we made in life, man.
Yeah, so I would say give a brother a chance. See what he can do. Now, the worst he could do is get back in there. You feel me? Or get hurt.
That ain't
right?
gonna happen.
He's 74 years old. What is he gonna do? Right? Get a brother a chance to be a mentor and a role model.
And help somebody.
Help somebody, right? It's being somebody that you can go to who can give you good advice and who can help you.
Thank you.
Right? And who can let you know how to avoid mistakes because they've made mistakes.
Exactly.
I thank God for what I got now. I tell you, somebody told me, you're going to be alderman. I said, no, I can't be no alderman. I got a record, you know, and thank God I got a pardon from the governor in '98. Around the same time, Gator got his pardon. But then somebody, so I became alderman. Then, you know, the mayor calls me up. I didn't even work on this campaign. He said, hey, man, I want to talk to you. I want you to be my vice mayor. I was like, what?
Okay.
So I don't know. I would say this. I would never say never. God been leading me this way. Wherever God leads me, that's why.
I totally get it, but I'm going to put this on camera. I am predicting you're going to be the mayor. When we look at everybody that plays this game, let's just be real.
Well, I'm very flattered and humble, but again,
that's just my prediction.
Let me say this, brother. If it was God's thing to take me away from here right now, I would leave as a blessed and happy man.
Totally get it.
You feel me?
I feel the same way.
Because he's been so good to me, and I'm so grateful.
Yes, sir.
For everything that I've been able to do, and I love boosting up the brothers and sisters who have been through the challenges to come back up.
Yes,
and
sir.
letting them know that you can change.
Hey, man, you're a perfect example of that for us. We appreciate you. You know, I just want to say thank you, brother. We didn't really have enough time. We have to do this again in the future.
All right.
Thank all of you that support us. Don't forget, subscribe. Hey, it's a beautiful thing. We're going to continuously bring you the best of the best as we have just done. Hey, follow us, stay with us, support us, and don't forget, subscribe. Hey, that's it. That's all. If you live in a city, any city, big or small, and you would like for Mr. Rick to come to your town, get as many subscribers as you can in your town, go in the comments. Let me know who your OGs are. They could be men or ladies. Doesn't matter. As long as they have a great history, whoever has the most subscribers, I will interview them. We won't pick them. You will pick them. So we'd like to tell those stories. Let me know why Mr. Rick should come to your city and interview the OG ladies and the OG gentlemen. That's it. That's all.